Almost 1 year ago, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan into law. Part of the legislation allocated $4 billion in debt relief to Black and other socially disadvantaged farmers. It was meant to rectify years of discrimination from the government and banks targeting farmers of color. But those who applied for the program have yet to see any money come in. That's because the initiative is facing legal challenges from white farmers. Alan Rappeport writes about this in the New York Times. He's an economic policy reporter in the Times who's been very busy covering. I've been reading your reporting, Alan, from Ukraine to this very important story. First of all, welcome. And tell us, you spoke with Black farmers who have yet to see, as I mentioned before, any relief after applying for debt forgiveness. Tell us how this has impacted their livelihoods, their business. What kinds of decisions are they making that perhaps are pushing them deeper into debt?
That's right. There's a lot of disappointment out there. I've talked to, farmers and ranchers from around the country and groups representing them. Basically they were told last year that they were going to be getting their debt relief, their loans wiped out as part of the American Rescue Plan. Many of them signed documents to the USDA and returned them, accepting this debt relief, and started making other investments, knowing that they were in the clear. And then they got the rude awakening that the money was frozen and the program was frozen in the courts because of these legal disputes, and that they were going to have to wait, and they're still waiting and going deeper in debt now because of that.
Now, you write that lawsuits from white farmers and their lawyers have blocked the aid or the debt forgiveness. Tell us what these lawsuits claim.
Exactly. They're basically claiming reverse discrimination here because the government relief initiative is based on racial criteria, and they say that that's unconstitutional and against the law. The white farmers who are also struggling financially should also be eligible for such relief. And so they filed lawsuits. Groups of white farmers in various states across the country have filed lawsuits. And they've won injunctions, preliminary injunctions, in a couple of federal courts. And that basically froze the entire program. That happened, initially last June, before the money was actually able to be dispersed to these socially disadvantaged and Black farmers. So at the moment, the money is just sitting there, but it can't go out, and the debt relief hasn't been able to move forward.
Now, is the government fighting these injunctions? I believe I read from your reporting that the government isn't actively fighting the injunctions.
Well, they're in an interesting legal situation. They haven't technically appealed the injunctions. But they are litigating the cases in court, although that's going to take, quite a long time. Some of the next cases are going to be moving forward in March, but it could take years for this to work its way through to the Supreme Court. There's been some dissatisfaction on behalf of the Black farmers because they did not go ahead and appeal the injunction. I think there was concern in the Biden administration that if they did appeal the injunction and they lost, it could raise doubts about other, race-based initiatives across the government and affirmative action type policies, and they didn't want to go that route. They were also hoping that they might be able to come up with another solution through the Build Back Better legislation, which is also stalled right now. So things are kind of in limbo.
One thing I found alarming from your reporting is that the government sent letters to a third of the farmers who applied for this debt relief, that the letters said they faced foreclosure for being behind on the very payments that they're supposed to be getting this debt forgiveness for. What's the latest you're hearing from the Agriculture Department on this?
Exactly. That really added sort of insult to injury. Late last year, they started sending out these intent to accelerate foreclosure notices to farmers that were behind on their payments, as you said, and a lot of these were the Black and socially disadvantaged farmers who thought they were supposed to be getting debt relief and who had been basically told, you don't have to do anything while this is all kind of working its way through the courts. Then they got these letters, which was quite alarming to them, thought they might be losing their farms, their ranches. It turns out that it's kind of a formality. The USDA automatically has to send these kinds of notices out to give people the status of their loans and let them know their options and the potential ramifications. After we inquired about this early this year, they actually sent follow-up letters to all these farmers and ranchers telling them it's okay, you're not going to get foreclosed. We have a moratorium in place because of the pandemic, so we're not accelerating any foreclosures. And that was very confusing and still upsetting to a lot of people. And also, with everything still in limbo and frozen, once this moratorium ends, when the pandemic eventually recedes, they're still going to owe these payments. So unless the debt relief somehow finds a way to move forward, they're still going to be kind of stuck and falling further behind on their payments.
Wow, it's astounding, the impacts of these delays. Alan Rappeport, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.